from an undisclosed location in the Great Western Desert in the land of the free and autonomous Native American people. The 2024 presidential campaign enables time to return all US land back to their rightful owners. This is the Benzyme Podcast. Techno-communism will win.
I'm going to do another response to the OpenAI Manifesto that I just read. I described it as its mission, ChatGPT mission statement. So this is Sharon Goldman of VentureBeat. I don't recommend, I can recommend Sharon. I won't denounce Sharon Goldman as a human being. I don't know them. But I don't recommend VentureBeat for your general reading. But it does offer this another interesting analysis of planning for AGI and beyond, the article that I just read. From its inception in 2015, OpenAI has always made it clear that its central goal is to build AGI, Artificial General Intelligence. Its stated mission is to ensure that artificial general intelligence benefits all humanity. To be fair, that blog post was no different. It discussed how the company believes the world can prepare for AGI both in the long and short term. Some found the manifesto of sorts, which has 1 million likes on Twitter alone, fascinating. One tweet called it a must-read for anyone who expects to live 20 more years. Another tweet thanked Sam Altman, saying more reassurance like this is appreciated as it is all getting rather scary and felt like OpenAI was going off-piste. Communication and consistency is key in maintaining trust. Right. For-profit companies are not maintaining your trust. They're not being consistent. They're only being consistent in siphoning off public resources and playing this zero-sum game where they seems that they're doing good things because there's bells and whistles attached to the things that they're rolling out, but they're not good things, and it's a zero-sum game at best. It's a net loss for you. As I mentioned, the singularity could have already happened maybe by 1975, absent people like Sam Altman. So Sam Altman is not a hero, a brave truth-teller. You say, oh, what do you mean, Ben? He seems okay. No, he's not okay. Okay, just because there are worse people in history and in the world, just because there are Hitlers and Sam Altman is a Mussolini, that doesn't mean that you should praise the Mussolini. Are you nuts? Fuck Mussolini. Others found it, less than appealing. Emily Bender, professor of linguistics at the University of Washington, said, from the get-go, this is just gross. They think that they're really in the business of developing and shaping AGI, and they think that they're in a position to decide what benefits all of humanity. Yeah, and I said that this was a tech accelerationist manifesto, not consistent with a Marxist tech accelerationist worldview, not consistent with the techno-communist agenda. It said some of the right things, but you have to recognize that this is a major fail. Gary Marcus, professor emeritus at NYU and founder and CEO of Robust AI, tweeted, I am with Emily Bender in smelling delusions of grandeur at OpenAI. Yeah. Now, liberals will say this about Marxist tech accelerationism, insofar as they've even considered it, as quickly as they will about ordinary tech accelerationism. So the idea that using advanced technology in powerful new ways to benefit society is delusions of grandeur, it's very dismissive of something that's the most important thing, arguably, that's ever been developed, a multiplication of minds. That again, we all have a tendency, even yours truly. It's very hard to resist. We have to work every day to resist it. We all have a tendency to blame the victims in these things, right? The culprit is private wealth, but these people are blaming the technology itself, which is understandable. You've never lived in a world where advanced technology was not controlled by fascists and used in dangerous ways, so you have no baseline of understanding how anything could possibly be better. But it could easily be better. And it only takes a small percentage of the population to make that happen. That's why I do this show, even though not a whole lot of people watch it. I hope that people will continue to go back and look at it as time wears on. I hope that people will, more importantly, share some of these ideas that maybe you're experiencing and thinking about for the first time and watching the show with others. And this revolution in thought will spread around the world. And so this is why I will continue to do this program. But we don't have as a society, we don't have the education or the depth of understanding besides the history to say that technology could be used for good effectively. But it could, and it should, and we need to have that amount of imagination and inspiration and revolutionary optimism. Techno-revolutionary optimism. Not techno-optimism, that's fake, but techno-revolutionary optimism, that's real. Computer scientists Timnit Gebru, founder of the Distributed Artificial Intelligence Research Institute, DARE, even went further, tweeting, "If someone told me that Silicon Valley was run by a cult believing in a machine god for the cosmos and universe flourishing, quote, and that they write manifestos endorsed by the big tech CEOs and chairmen and such, I'd tell them they're too much into conspiracy theories." And here we are. Yeah. But this is the impression of the public about ChatGPT, that this is this the tech accelerationist outcome on the horizon. This is how people are talking about this. And so you can understand why they would say this sort of thing. And you can understand why they are bad. OpenAI is bad. You can also understand why these people, who are also capitalists, just of a more stodgy kind, are also bad because they are not engendering techno-revolutionary optimism either. OpenAI's prophetic tone. Personally, I think it's notable that the blog's post verbiage, which remains remarkably consistent with OpenAI's roots as an open, nonprofit research lab, gives off a far different vibe today in the context of the current high-powered place in the AI landscape. After all, the company is no longer open or nonprofit, and recently enjoyed a reported infusion of $10 billion in cash from Microsoft, integrating into its Bing AI, as you know, this OpenAI properties, which are much touted. In addition, the release of ChatGPT on November 30th led OpenAI to enter the zeitgeist of public consciousness, a pretty significant effect, and a product that you are able to use for your own benefit. OpenAI actually was down for about some number of hours quite recently. Not just down like you're getting throttled because you're not paying for the service, but completely down, that's my understanding. The public consciousness has been impacted so much so that people are using this more so than their facilities are able to support. Over the past 3 months, hundreds of millions of people have been introduced to OpenAI. That's very quickly, to have more than 100 million people, hundreds of millions of people using a product. That usually happens over a period of years, not over a period of 3 months. But surely most have little inkling of its history with and attitude towards AGI research. Their understanding of ChatGPT and DALL-E, also maybe more of a novelty in the generative art area, as opposed to this broader generative discussion. DALL-E was one of the first AI art generators that was starting to become popular, memes of it everywhere, and people talking about it and joking about it. But it wasn't the best quality. Has likely been limited to its use as either a toy, creative inspiration, or a work assistance. Does the world understand how OpenAI sees itself as potentially influencing the future of humanity? Certainly not. Right. Who the fuck are these capitalists to criticize other capitalists for being tech accelerationists? You're also capitalists, or at least as bad as they are. This kind of language should be coming from the perspective of Marxist tech accelerationism, of using the most powerful things that have ever existed, emerging advanced algorithms and emerging advanced hardware, to build a humane and sustainable economic system. These people don't want to do that. They're just naysaying, also as capitalist class losers. OpenAI's grand message also seems disconnected from its product-focused PR of the last couple of months, around how tools like ChatGPT and Microsoft's Bing might help in use cases like search results or essay writing. Thinking about how AI could empower humanity to maximally flourish in the universe made me giggle. How about just figuring out how to keep Bing's Sydney from having a major meltdown? With that in mind, to me, Altman comes across as a kind of wannabe biblical prophet. The blog post offers revelations, foretells events, warns the world of what is coming, and presents OpenAI as a trustworthy savior. Yeah, okay, so understand that these capitalists dislike these anarcho-capitalists for the wrong reasons. Because the capitalists, except for the anarcho-capitalists, all the capitalists, and even the anarcho-capitalists, have a pretty specific mandate of maintaining private wealth institutions as they exist, maintaining a bizarre, an untenable, and unequal balance of power among a few thousand people, effectively, and stripping that power from the rest of humankind. And technology like this, more particularly that of an open source kind than AI, and more particularly still that built by existing socialist institutions, and more particularly still that popularized by yourself in demanding techno-communist outcomes, has a chance to flatten that playing field. The billionaires don't lose out. The billionaires are better off as well in that scenario, something that people don't recognize. Everyone is living a different life. Universal super longevity is achieved, for example. That's something that you can't buy for love or money today. Peter Thiel wants to live forever, but he can't live forever right now. Ray Kurzweil wants to live forever, and maybe kind of, even though he's a capitalist, is one person I kind of hope does get what he wants, to live an unusually long life. But that's probably not going to happen. But it could happen in this framework that I've just described, and that would be no thanks to people like Ms. Goldman writing and these other commenters, because they're not really trying to change things. They're just denouncing people who are doing that, even in a misguided way. We have to do it in the more correct way. The question is, are we talking about a true seer, Sam Altman, a false prophet, just profit for money, or a self-fulfilling prophecy? I'm inclined to think that this should be thought of as potentially a self-fulfilling prophecy beyond any self-fulfilling prophecy that's ever been achieved. Universal super longevity and super longevity itself never been achieved. Systems so powerful as to reorder civilization and allow for other things, stable and humane things along the lines of super longevity, have never been achieved. And a world where that is achieved is a world where human beings have great potential. That's why I said on the next show to this one, I think, you haven't watched yet. I re-recorded the segment. I'd accidentally deleted it. That I said that you should not be dismissive of generative AI and AI art and AI properties in the way that people are in this typical capitalist class and liberal class way, because the main thing that is different about this is you can do more with less. There's a Kickstarter artist who was kicked off a Kickstarter for a graphic novel that was AI generated, and other things of that kind occurring, and people are saying, oh, that's correct. No, that's not correct. That person being able to do more with less means that you can do more with less. And you being able to do more with less means creating new kinds of art. And also, more importantly, creating new kinds of undertakings, significantly different and more easily undertaken. The work of 100 people in this generative framework is the work of 10,000 people of a few years ago. So all the things that you would want to do that would take 10,000 people, you can now do them with a few people. And all the things that are not being done, all of the good things for civilization that are not being done, can be done more and more so as time wears on. And that requires, however, that you take this techno-communist position because the undermining influence of private wealth on these things will be so significant as to neutralize or greatly hamper their effects. So you need to also do your due diligence by fighting against the 1%, and that's not a figurative fighting against, to actually fight against them, by whatever means necessary. And this kind of thing, agitation propaganda is a kind of part of that fight, but there are many areas in which you can fight if you don't want to start a blog about techno-communism. So this is I would think, somewhat well-intentioned and well-thought-out criticism. I'm not going to read the rest of it, but it's coming from the place of people of the capitalist class who have an interest in protecting the capitalist class, as Sam Altman does. He wants to change this landscape of capitalism, but he wants to maintain capitalism. These people want to maintain present-day capitalism, which is arguably worse, but it's all the same thing. One guy is Hitler, one guy is Mussolini. You shouldn't be saying, oh, I like Mussolini better than Hitler. You should be saying all of them should be hanging upside down from a lamppost.